All right, I just went for a jog and I was thinking about something that I've been thinking about for a really long time. And what I want to talk about is why most high-level jiu-jitsu athletes that I see, why their strength and conditioning program sucks. And that sounds harsh, but I really believe it. I really believe it to be true. I hear a lot of strength and conditioning, so-called, I guess, gurus in the jiu-jitsu world, talking about strength and conditioning, and I'm just like, dude, this is trash. Like, it's really, really bad. And I think that most of the programs are horrible. So I just want to go over a couple things that I see and why I think that they're horrible. Number one, random workouts. Number one, I see that, like, so basically, it seems like jiu-jitsu athletes and fighters too will do like random workouts with random exercises that just get you so tired that you're lying on the floor dead. Like that's all they do. And so you're just redlining, you are hitting like 90% heart rate and just straight up redlining, tired, exhausted, and it's just totally random. And so like week to week, they just do random exercises, random movements. Like there's really no progression. And so what's the problem with randomness? Okay, here's the problem with randomness. The problem with randomness is there's no progression. There's no tracking, and there's no way to progress yourself moving forward. Now, if you find a way to track that and to track your exercises and track progress, that's one thing. So the randomness is not really, it may get you better in a really, really short term. But like if you're doing workouts that just make you fall out on the floor dead tired every single time, 90% max heart rate, like you are not going to maximize your fitness. And in fact, there's a lot to be said that you may actually be hurting your fitness. Like you'll gain some fitness in the real short term, but like in the long term, like you'll kill mitochondria. Like you'll legit kill mitochondria in your cells, break down cells. And if you want to improve capacity and you want to improve conditioning, like you have to build mitochondria in your cells, right? And that's just keeping it really, really simple. So stop killing yourself. You're literally killing your body when you do that for a long period of time. There's people. So now some of these athletes like Andre Galvao are genetic freaks. They're genetic freaks. I don't even think that those guys are juicing as much and on steroids as much as people think. I think a lot of them are just genetic freaks. Genetic freaks like will look fit and look strong no matter what program they do, no matter what strength and conditioning program they do. But I have seen and experienced like you have to be on a progressive. So let me hop off that one real quick. So that was the first one, just random workouts. Like first mistake that I see people in jiu-jitsu, competitive jiu-jitsu make when they're programming workouts and stuff. Second mistake is fight simulation. Dude, oh my gosh, it's like the jiu-jitsu world is obsessed with fight simulation workouts. And I'm like, man, bro, if you are doing hard rolling sessions 5 times a week, and I'm sure there's people out there that are rolling 30 minutes long, an hour long, 5 times a week, you're getting in dude, you have no need for muscle or fight simulation workouts. You're doing the actual fight 5 times a week. There's no need for fight simulation workouts. Like you don't need to keep doing fights. What you need to do is find your weaknesses and train the weaknesses that you have, okay? So think about it like this. Jiu-jitsu is your sport. If you are in competitive jiu-jitsu and your main sport is competitive jiu-jitsu, okay? That is your sport. Everything you do outside of that to try to make yourself better in that sport is cross-training. So if you are a runner, let's compare, okay? A jiu-jitsu athlete to a runner. If a runner is running and they're trying to maximize their half marathon time or 5K time, whatever the race is, throughout the year, if a runner wants to stay healthy, they're going to have to cross-train. they're going to have to cross train. They're going to have to do some strength training. They're going to have to do some accessory work. They're going to have to do some cross training to help their running. In some cases, if they are lacking strength, if they're lacking power, if they're lacking output, then they're going to be able to cross train and do other things to make their running better. Okay. Also, if you're a runner, it's very high impact. You use your legs a lot. There's a lot of bounding. You're hitting the pavement. When you cross train for running, are you going to do run simulation training? Are you going to do run simulation training? If you're running 5 days a week, are you going to put together a workout and be like, okay, this day, now we're going to do a run simulation. So we're not going to actually run, but what we're going to do, even though we've already run, 60 miles of volume this week, we're going to do run simulation training. So we are going to, let's do some bounding box jumps. Let's do some bounding box jumps, because that's simulating kind of running. Let's do some box step ups. That kind of simulates running. Let's do some double unders and some jump rope. Yeah, that simulates running. And let's do jumping jacks, and let's do more bounding. No, like a running coach would be like, that is ridiculous. We need to do workouts that complement running, but that don't use the same muscles, right? They don't use the same muscles. They don't put wear and tear on the same joints. Okay, so maybe if you need to increase, say you want to increase the amount of volume that you're putting, like you're working out your heart, right? You want to increase the time per week that you're working your heart and get in more cardio, long cardio, steady state cardio. As a runner, you might swim. Like you might take a day where you do a 60-minute swim, right? Because you're not going to add in more running. The same thing with jiu-jitsu. Why do jiu-jitsu fight simulation training when you're already doing jiu-jitsu probably too much? You're probably rolling too much as it is. A lot of high-level athletes don't roll as much as you think. Especially in the off-season, man. People are starting to figure it out. Like, you drill. Listen to some videos recently by Andrew Wiltsey. And Andrew Wiltsey's onto something. And he's talking about, like, how you should drill hours and hours a day, but like rolling should be very limited, and hard rolling should be extremely limited. Here's the thing. There's too many variables in rolling to really help you truly improve in your fitness, right? Because every single person you roll with is a different roll. Every roll is a different roll. Sometimes you end up on top for a majority of the match, and you are in dominant controlling positions, and maybe you are not working that much energy, or you're getting tired. And sometimes in jiu-jitsu, you have to work on efficiency, right? But when you get on something like an assault bike, there's no rest. I mean, you can build in rest for various reasons, but you can really actually test your output, and you can really actually train your output. Like, there's no variables. You get on it and you pedal and you go. Right? There's not many variables there. Every session, you could make every session the same if you want. And you can really progress that way because you can measure it. Like, okay, today I did intervals at 68 RPMs for 30 seconds on and 30 seconds off. And I was able to hold those intervals for 20 rounds before I started to fall off. And my heart rate was at 170 the whole time, right? You can measure it. You can look at it and you can actually really measure it. So then next week you can say, or next session you can say, well, I want to, since I did 68 RPMs, my heart rate was really higher than I wanted to be. So this time I'm gonna do 30-second intervals, and I'm gonna go at 65 RPMs to try to keep that heart rate in the zone that I want it to be. Like, it's just a more controllable environment. So like, the second thing is stop doing fight simulation training. What you need to do is back off and say, okay, what are my weaknesses? What are my strengths? Okay, what do I need to do to improve my jiu-jitsu game? Is it my cardio? Like, and when you think about it, is it really actually your capacity and your conditioning? Okay, or is it your strength? Are you not strong enough? If you're not strong enough, then you probably in the off season, you need to slow down on how much you're rolling. You need to slow down on how much you are, honestly, slow down on your cardio for a while and take a block of time, like if you have an off season, like, dude, take 3 months and literally just train top end strength. And when I say top end strength, squat, bench, deadlift, like really get your strength up, right? Focus on that. Get in the right rep ranges for strength. Don't do 30 rep exercises. Do 5 reps and below. 3 reps, 2 reps, 1 rep. If you need to be more explosive, power cleans, snatches, sprints, sled push sprints. There's all kinds of things that you can do. But what I'm saying is figure out what you need to do, right? Because you don't want to just take shots in the dark and just aimlessly like, oh, let's do fight simulation training sounds good and it makes you feel good because you're exhausted when you're done. And let's do all the same movements that we do in jiu-jitsu all the time so that we can really get a lot of wear and tear on our joints. If in jiu-jitsu, if you're doing gi jiu-jitsu 5 days a week and if you're doing gi jiu-jitsu 5 hours to 10 hours a week and your game all the time is like spider guard, bro, like your grip is getting worked all the time. You got to be real careful about how much you work your grip in the gym because you're going to overtrain. You're going to overtrain your grip. And then next thing you know, you're either getting weaker and you're not really getting stronger. You're not really improving your endurance with your grip, or you're starting to have some injuries and now you're getting like tennis elbow and tendonitis and stuff like that because you're just overworking your grip. So you have to be real cognizant of what you're working a lot, and you have to be careful not to overtrain. You got to be careful not to overuse those things that you're doing, right? And that's something I see a problem with, because cross-training is doing things that complement, training methods that complement your sport, So we don't do a lot of squatting in jiu-jitsu. Matter of fact, in jiu-jitsu, rarely do my legs and quads blow up. Maybe if I'm holding closed guard for a really long time, my legs will blow up. But outside of that, my legs don't blow up in jiu-jitsu. But a squat can give you massive central nervous system strength and overall body strength if you improve your squat. You can take a person who squats 200 pounds and take a person who squats 500 pounds, grab hold of them, and you'll feel the difference. You will feel the difference in that person, right? Deadlift. If you take a person who can deadlift 200 pounds and a person that can deadlift 500 pounds, take a hold of them. You can clearly tell a difference. Now, do you really deadlift and squat in jiu-jitsu? No, not really. Not really. I mean, maybe there's some scenarios in which you could say, oh, well, so some jiu-jitsu coaches would say, well, why would you squat and deadlift? Why would you squat and deadlift? Because it's not a functional movement. It's not something you do in jiu-jitsu. Wrong. Squats and deadlifts will make your whole body overall stronger. The more you can deadlift, there's even correlations to how much you can deadlift and how many pull-ups you can do. There's correlations there, because when you get that top end strength, that absolute strength, everything else tends to go up and get stronger. Another thing a person needs to assess is there's so many things, man. If you need to get strong, if you need to improve your condition, see, everybody just says cardio. Another thing people just throw out there is cardio. Well, is it really your cardio, your heart, that's the problem? Or is it your muscle endurance that's the problem? Because that's another thing. Those are two totally different things. So we really got to figure out, why are you blowing up in your workouts? Why are you blowing up in your matches? You might have great cardio, but it's just your efficiency is a problem. You try to apply submissions that aren't there, and you're just blowing yourself up, right? And you think, oh, I just got to get more conditioning. You really need to assess what's going on. If your cardio is truly bad and your breathing is bad and your heart rate gets too spiked, and it really is your heart, then yeah, you need to do some cardio. But maybe your muscle endurance is just bad. Maybe you're a guy that's really strong, and you blow up in when you're rolling because your muscle endurance, your arms blow up, your legs blow up, everything gases, everything blows up. And maybe your cardio is good. There's big dudes who run ultras, Clydesdales, dudes who are, over 200 pounds that are running ultra marathons and stuff like that. But their muscle endurance might be trash. So maybe it's your muscle endurance that's bad. Maybe it's your anaerobic threshold that's bad, right? Maybe it is your aerobic threshold. You can increase your anaerobic threshold by doing aerobic work, implementing like 1 day a week where you build up to like long aerobic steady state cardio sessions for like 90 minutes to 2 hours. The crazy thing is you can actually increase your anaerobic threshold. Okay, we're talking about your 1 minute, 2 minute power output. Crazy. You can increase it by doing aerobic training. Are you injury prone? Like maybe you need to lift and work out just to do accessory work that is going to help prevent injuries. Okay, so just building in those accessory exercises that are going to just help keep you healthy over the years and help keep you in the sport longer. So like there's so many different things. Flexibility, right? Flexibility, balance, all these things, and you really got to just focus. And that's why it's good to have a coach. It's good to have someone who can, like, he's your coach and he's writing individualized, personalized workout programming for you. So he's looking at your training schedule and he's saying, okay, you train this day, this day, this day, this day. Okay, how hard do you train this day? How hard do you train this day? Is this day gi? Is this day no gi? Assessing the training program that you're on, and then building in your strength and conditioning program around that to really make it work, man. It's like a puzzle. It's like a puzzle. And then not just like, okay, let's get you in shape a month before your match, but no, like let's periodize it over the course of a whole year. Over the course of a whole year. And let's say, okay, you're training for IBJJF Worlds, okay? Well, okay, 3 months out or a year away, okay? We're a year out. For 3 months, we're gonna focus on strength. Whatever it is, maybe you need to pack on muscle. Maybe you don't really have enough muscle for your frame, right? You know, and typically to me, muscle isn't a big factor in jiu-jitsu. Like you don't really need, if you don't have a certain amount of muscle, I would prefer actually building strength and focusing on strength and muscle endurance and not focus on building muscle. But hey, maybe for some reason you just don't have much muscle mass at all, so you do need to build a healthy amount of muscle to improve your body composition and also to help keep you healthy, because muscle is going to keep your joints healthy and things like that. So maybe we do need to build muscle, right? We take 2 months, we're going to build muscle, then we take another 2 months, we're going to build strength, and then we're going to take another 3 months and we're going to start working on top end conditioning. So we're going to really keep focusing on strength, but at the same time we're going to start building that aerobic ceiling, building that cardio, and getting that VO2 max up higher and higher. And then as we begin to get closer to the actual competition, now is when you do start to put in some of that more specific work, okay? Maybe we do actually at this point start to bring more intensity. I'm not going to say fight simulation style training, but we start doing some hard intervals. We start doing some things like that, but still very sparingly, because the sport of jiu-jitsu is so demanding. As you're getting closer to a competition, your rolling is probably getting harder and harder. Your rolling is getting harder and harder. You've really got to be careful about how hard you go in the gym. You'll cross over to that overtraining threshold, getting into that injury zone. Like, man, you got to be really, really careful of that. So that's why you need to you need a coach that knows what they are doing, and also a coach that is willing to adjust and is willing to change, is willing to be very fluid, because man, you know, there may be days where you are so beat up, you're beat up from jiu-jitsu, and you really don't need to train certain muscles. You don't need to train your upper body, right? You've gassed your upper body, you work spider guard the whole night before, and your biceps and your grip are just gassed. And so like, okay, well today we're gonna adjust and we're going to work legs. Right, simple adjustments like that. You got to be able to adjust on the fly, and that's where, you know, I mean, my biggest thing that I just wanted to rant about is the dang fight simulation thing. I'm like, dude, and the random workouts. Like, man, oh my gosh, the people that are doing that, they've got so much higher of a ceiling than they think. Like, their strength and their conditioning could be so much better if they had an actual, like, really strategically based workout program over the course of a year. Man, you would see their strength and conditioning go to the roof. We've seen it in the CrossFit world. I come from the CrossFit world. CrossFit in its beginning days were just like the fight simulation workouts. They were super random. Everything was random. Everything was hard. Everything was 90% efforts, 100% efforts, every single day, high intensity. And once people started actually figuring things out, and they started implementing a lot of the same protocols that that endurance, like Ironman endurance coaches are implementing in, like a Ironman or a marathon runners program, Olympic runners. Like, once CrossFit started taking those protocols and implementing them, and then also implementing like actual real strength and conditioning coaches, like weightlifting programs and strength programs, oh my gosh, also in the CrossFit world, I mean, everybody got good so crazy fast in CrossFit. People started hitting numbers like nobody's ever seen. I mean, you know, we had somebody that back squatted 500 and then they ran a 5-minute mile. They ran a 5-minute mile, back squatted 500, like right in the same. I know what somebody did it in the same day. I want to say they did it like back to back. Like, they literally back squatted 500 and then took off straight into a 5-minute mile as soon as they back squatted it, right? Crazy what people are able to do, but they're not doing that with random workouts. It is highly strategic to get there. Now, you think that dude that can back squat 500 and run a 5-minute mile, I guarantee you his conditioning is better than anybody in ADCC, anybody in the jiu-jitsu world. His conditioning is top notch. Go grab hold of that guy. Now, his jiu-jitsu is he probably doesn't do jiu-jitsu and it's trash, and he's not efficient in the sport, right? But his actual capacity, man, is insane. And I know you only, you know, and if you're trying to improve your capacity, like, man, you got to be smart about it. So that's it. I'm done ranting. I hope that spurred some questions. I hope that this gets some viewers and people actually watch this, because, man, I really want to dive into the world of strength and conditioning for jiu-jitsu. And you know, and I'm training some jiu-jitsu athletes, and I would love to try to answer any questions, man, and just learn and grow together and get better, and really develop some people with some crazy capacity and output in the sport that I think is really possible. So hit me up with any questions. Thank you for listening to this wild rant.